The thing that I was going to say mainly is that when I fell into debt and I sold the Mazda, um, ever since that time I've been trying to think of ways to get it back or to get another one, and I can't work out whether that's just, you know, it is to some extent just lustfulness, I suppose, on my part, because I enjoyed having it. So I'm still thinking about it, whether I will be able to afford it, because I understand that I'd got myself, really, I behaved quite foolishly with my money, but I think I'm getting it back under control now, and a car would be useful for the coming winter. So the only car that I want really is something like that. Um, I've looked at various. I thought about getting an MG again, and there's a couple of 1.6 engine MGs on the market um, for about 2 grand, 2.5 grand, um, with hard top also. So quite smart looking cars, quite a few miles on, I think, in one case. But the trouble with those cars is it's just their unreliability. They're known for it. And unless you do your own work, I mean, they're great to drive. I really like. I would say I thought the MG was more fun to drive than the MX-5, because the MG has a mid-engine right behind where you're seated, and you just get this sense of being propelled along the road. It's extremely invigorating, I find, and quite easy to drive. So the driving experience, I think, is actually, in terms of my type of driving, I find it better. Although the MX-5 is really good, also it's slightly different um, because of the front engine. Really, there's a lot of weight at the front of the car. Whereas the MG, although the weight distribution is claimed to be because of it's a mid-engine, so it's a pretty good weight distribution. But there's not much on the front axle, really, over the front axle, because all you have there is, I think, the spare tyre. I'm thinking, you've got the battery, the spare tyre. There's not much else under the hood. Well, a spare tyre, a spare wheel, a full-size wheel, which you need, I think, just to put a bit more weight on the front, I think. But they go beautifully. But it's the reliability that they do go wrong. So more and more, I'm just looking at the same car that I had before. Um, maybe a different iteration, but the NC, because it's not all that popular among the enthusiasts, the prices are better, and it's still a very good car indeed. Um, Probably mechanically the best. Probably, I'm not sure about that, but it does have a very good reputation for long reliability. So that seems to be that I'm thinking of stepping back into the past now, and I was a bit hasty in selling. I should have sawned the car, so I could have stopped the road tax, and I wouldn't have MOT'd it, and I think I could have cancelled the insurance. I think so. As long as the car's parked on private property. But I was I was slightly panicking at the time, and it seemed like the right thing to do. But I think I could, get an equivalent car for less than I paid for mine now that I know the market better. And I feel more confident with the car now because having got to know it, I know what to look for. High mileage isn't really a problem with those cars. This is what I've come to realise. It brings the price down, but it's not a deal breaker at all. And in fact, you might have more problems with an older, low mileage car because they're engines that need to be driven. That's how they work, I think. It's not anything that's going to benefit from being laid up. That's what I'd started to understand with my car, and it was one of the reasons I suppose I sold it also because I was having to make up reasons for going places just to use the car. But then it was stressful because the roads are so busy around where I live. So that's coming back, to the moving up to Blackpool business that I'd contemplated, because up at Blackpool, around that area, there's far less traffic on the roads. But at the same time, you need to go somewhere on the roads. I'm not the sort of fellow that can just drive into the hills for the hell of it if I don't have some reasonable excuse for doing it. It seems almost excessive. You could just go for a walk instead, I don't know, maybe I don't have a sufficient sense of adventure to do random stuff like that. But as long as I've got some destinations to reach, it means I've got to know people that are worth going round to their house. And I don't really know anybody who would have me in the house. My sister's allowed it once. Well, of course, in Blackpool, I did stay in a hotel. You see, Blackpool's a destination, whereas starting from Blackpool and driving in the, I'm sure, very nice twisty lanes going up, there's quite a rugged, rural, mountainous even area to the east, going inland and northeast particularly. And to the northeast, there's the very famous Lake District, not really too far away at all. I'm sure they're lovely places to go on a drive, but I mean, normally you'd do something like that if you had a companion. I think that would be the classic way to do it. It would be a bit more fun. If you're just by yourself, you might get, charming as your own company might be, I think I would get fed up with mine. I do like to have, some female company. I'd do it for sure, yeah. But it's a bit of a conceit, really, driving a sports car. This is what I've come to understand. But it's not. It's not really a tremendous one, as long as it's not too expensive. Actually, we're just having a little bit of fun, even if you only drive locally and occasionally do a longer trip. It's fine. That's how I was using it. It was fine. it was really filling a function which are now, on the bus. I notice getting around and carrying stuff isn't no longer quite as simple, especially now that I have this hernia operation. So I have to avoid carrying any weight really for a while, and I can't completely do that because I have to go shopping. So obviously I'll end up getting some form of conveyance. May as well have another Mazda because it was a great little car. So I'm looking forward to that. I don't know when I'll be able to afford it. I'll have to consider it very carefully. But I might go and speak to the dealer that I sold mine to and ask him if he has still got it on his hands. Now, that's probably unlikely, but in the unlikely event that he has, well, he only gave me 1,700 quid for it. So I wonder whether he might allow me to buy it back from him for that money plus, I don't know, £1,000 worth of storage and even £300 worth of interest. Because effectively, if he had it, he would have loaned me £1,700 for 6 months. So I'd just pay whatever he wants to charge me for it and take the car back off his hands. And that way I know I'm getting a good car. But financially, it does mean that it was a stupid thing to do if I'm just going to reverse it. But I didn't understand the seriousness of the money thing at the time. I do now. And it's been driven home. But nonetheless, if I don't get a car, then my no claims bonus will expire. It's maintained, I believe, for 2 years. But if you don't drive, if you don't own a car and reinsure a car within that period, then you will go back to the highest risk level automatically. You can't allow insurance to lapse too long. So I can't tarry with this stuff. I need to get a wiggle on, because then when I'm in, if I do get, a longer lease of life, if the Lord has it in his mind to preserve my life as he has done apparently this time, and I do thank him for it, because it was truly a life-threatening situation. Then yes, I'll obviously benefit from having some form of transport, the ability to get from A to B. As I get older, I guess walking will become less, more problematic. It'll be nice to have a car to get around, especially in the winter. Yeah. God bless them.